The incredible Max Tucci is here. What? Max. Oh my goodness. So Max, uh, he got me going before the show because he showed me everything that he was wearing. You want to show the people what you're wearing? Well, that's between us.
You know what? This is what I'm wearing.
Okay.
You know what I've learned in life is
What?
you share certain things with those you know who can appreciate it, right?
Yes.
And
That
they once said that it takes a village, but I say that it takes a tribe because not everybody in the village is part of your tribe.
isn't that the truth? That's right. Not everyone in the village is down with the smoke. That's
Oh, we started. Here we
yeah,
are.
we started already. So, oh my goodness, family, I am so happy because today, we have with us in the house the incredible Max Tucci. And tonight I get to ask Max questions, and Max has been incredible friend over years. And it has just been incredible watching Max win awards and have his incredible show. He's had his show for 13 years, Max and Friends. 14 years, Max and Friends, Emmy winner. This is a multi winner with regard to communicator awards. How many communicator awards have you won?
I think we're at 7 now.
Communicator Awards. That is incredible. Hey. And now Max Tucci has written a book, The Delmonico Way. Max Tucci's in the house. Tell us about you and your book.
Well, before I can tell you about the present, I have to talk about the past real quick.
Okay.
And there was a slight discord when you said we've been friends for years because it's more like lifetimes.
Lifetimes. Yeah, it has been. It has been lifetimes.
And so Spirit was like, "Oh, she's talking about just this plane." I was like, "Okay, okay." Yes, but first and foremost, I bow to you. I thank you. I take this moment for all of us to be still in it, because when we are still, we know. We know that we are part of the great I am. We know we are the great I am. And in this breath we take now, collectively together, we are one. And so thank you for bringing me to your playground. Because over the years, you've come to mine, and it is an honor to observe you. A dear friend of mine, Clive Davis, said to me that I am a great observer. He said, "Max, you're like your grandfather. You're a great observer." And I love to observe. And I've observed you, Valerie Love, over the years, your dedication to humanity, your dedication to spirit, your dedication to all that is, your dedication to Clubhouse, your dedication to yourself. And for all the times when you could say no, you say yes and you show up. So for me, it's only natural to say yes to you and show up for you because I love you.
Oh my God. Max, don't make me cry at the beginning of the show. My mascara is going to start. You know.
Mine too.
I know that's right. Because Max is rather fly tonight. Who are you wearing tonight, Max?
I am wearing this. You know what? This I bought when I was in Capri. And this is from a company called, I'll let you know in a minute.
It's gorgeous.
And look, it's all like, this is all beaded.
That's
you can't really appreciate, but this is all beaded. You know who this is?
Gorgeous.
I should know who I'm wearing, but you know, we are in the midst of a hurricane. Did you know this? I'm in Florida right now, and there's Hurricane Nicole who's coming. November 10th is my sister's birthday, and her name is Nicole. My book signing in Palm Beach was supposed to be tomorrow, and my sister said, "It's my birthday." And I was like, I don't plan the dates. And so it has been postponed until December. So, you know, I went this morning, I had a good facial for you, right? I had my hair did, I got my face patted, beat. And then when I was pulling out, options to wear, I said, this feels like Val and I could be in Mexico together on the beach.
Oh, come on, come on. You know
So
how
that's
we
the
do.
vibe. I'm bringing that, like, let's be on the beach together, barefoot in the sand,
Oh,
grounding, feeling
okay.
real good, connecting with source, dancing on the beach. I'm a daydreamer. And so there's that saying, fake it till you make it. I say, faith it till you make it. Because I have faith and I know for sure that I'm going to be in the beach with you.
Oh my
I'm going
God.
to daydream that into reality.
Oh my God, Max, how many beaches are there down here that we could run around to? And we've ran on the beach in Florida before.
We
So
have.
the beaches, the
The
beaches.
answer to that question are not enough.
Ah,
There's not enough beaches. Right?
hey, we can give it a good go. We can go to as many as we can. We can give it a good go.
And we're there.
Yeah.
And we're there.
Yes. Well, you always look like $1,000,000, Max. So I'm sure you didn't need it because you always look fly and fine and put together and like you just wafted out of somewhere.
All right. So
Sam,
there is no glam squad.
he wafts.
There is no glam squad. It's me. And on Tonight with This Rain, literally, I put this together in 3 seconds.
What? Well, you did good on that one. So tell us about your book. Tell us about
Thank
your
you.
family. Tell us about your father, your grandfather, the
Ancestors.
restaurant. We're New Yorkers.
Ancestors.
Tell us about that.
Before we get into all that, I have a question for you.
Yes.
And the question I have for you, it's hard to be interviewed because I interview. So I'm only going to leave it to this one question for now. How are you? How are you?
Oh my goodness, Max, I am fabulous. I just ate the most delicious salad with grapes and just a little tiny bit of like the feta cheese and the greens with a nice balsamic glaze, since we're talking about the
Food.
Delmonico Way and food, right? And I paired it with something that it doesn't go with, a butter croissant and
Perfect.
and fresh squeezed orange juice.
I love that you said that because what I know from doing a cookbook is that not every ingredient should go with another ingredient, but if it works for you, that's the secret ingredient, right?
Okay,
So when
okay.
I was doing this book, The Delmonico Way, right?
It's
As you know,
huge. This book is
yeah,
huge.
it's legit. It's legit. It's legit.
Wow.
We won't
Oh my goodness, how beautiful. I
we
can't
won't
wait.
go through all the pages, but
Yeah.
there's a recipe that brings me back to, which is the baked Alaska. And baked Alaska was invented at Delmonico's. And
By
there's a
your
recipe,
grandfather.
well, by the Delmonico brothers previously, who this restaurant goes back to 1827. So we can really get into some ancestral roots there.
Yeah.
And when you come to the city, we're going to go to the Delmonico building because you'll feel the energy there. And we'll talk about that later in the program. But Letty Alvarez, who's a dear friend of mine, she's a baker from Cupcake Wars and all these baking challenges.
Ooh,
So
yes.
she did for me a baked Alaska. And in her recipe, there is a wonderful vanilla ice cream. And so when I was going through the book, we also have a banana ice cream. And so the marvelousness of this book and how sublime it is you can take that wonderful banana ice cream and put it with the baked Alaska cupcake. So back to what you said, you could have your croissant with your wonderful salad, because we're the creators of our reality. They say, Bob Proctor says, if you could see it in your mind, you can create it in your reality. And I'd like to take it one step further to say, if you could see it in your mind, it's already created in your reality. And so you created that sandwich for a purpose and it satisfied the purpose.
It did. I feel
Right?
good. I feel ready for you.
I am always ready for you, Miss Valerie Love, Reverend Valerie Love. But as I hold this book and these pages, I reminisce over the work that it took to get this book going. Mama Ela says, we got to do our work.
We got to do the work.
And so for all of you who are tuning in tonight and thinking something in my life hasn't happened, we got to do our work. Why isn't my book happening? We got to do our work. Why isn't my romance happening? We got to do our work. Why aren't my children successful? We've got to do our work. Why aren't I successful? We got to do our work. So when we do our work, 15 years, rejection, I've learned is a beautiful thing. You know, Sherry Salata, who was the executive producer for the Oprah Winfrey Show for 25 years,
Yeah.
wrote a book called The Beautiful No.
Ooh.
And what I've learned about the beautiful no is that no matter how many they are, they will lead to the divine yes. And that divine yes is when you do your work. You know, the universe will rise up and meet you. All that is will rise up and meet you when it sees you doing your work, when it trusts you because you trust yourself, right? So there comes that moment where I could take my glory in this book and run with it. And so again, 15 years of rejection, 15 years of publishers saying it's not relevant, 15 years of why this story now, 15 years of who's Max Tucci, 15 years. And in the last 3 years, it was with Rizzoli. So collectively, it was 15 years. And I did my work. I showed up. You know, that's part of the process, is showing up and being available. To me, being available is the great surrender. I am available. And when we're available in that moment, when that moment arises, an opportunity arises, you're prepared. And I was prepared for that moment. I wasn't prepared 15 years ago for this.
Wow.
I wasn't prepared right now for this moment to be talking about this if I hadn't done 15 years of my work, right? So each step leads to the next. Each no leads to the next. I love to say that man's rejection is the divine's protection.
Come on.
So when those no's happen, they happen for a reason. They happen for us to be prepared, to prepare ourselves for the moment that when that yes happens, everything is lined up, right?
Ooh, come on.
So in that lining up of this project, I threw a party for Whoopi Goldberg at Delmonico's.
At Delmonico's?
Yes. And
Okay.
Whoopi wrote a book called The Unqualified Hostess. You know, the holidays are coming up. Buy my book. Hashtag buy my book.
That's right.
But
Buy that book.
hashtag,
We're gonna link it
hashtag,
below.
yes, hashtag buy Val's 28, 29, out of 45. I don't know how many you're at in that books.
I lost
And
count.
right, and buy Whoopi Goldberg's book, The Unqualified Hostess. It's a wonderful book to set tables and to design your homes for many holidays.
Ooh,
So
yeah.
when Whoopi came out with the book, we were in the building. So let's paint the picture. We're in the building. It's September, I think, of 2019, right before pandemic. We're in the building that my grandfather toiled in. We're in the building that my father also. We're in the building that my ancestors were present. You understand? So when we paint this picture of a building that is more than a building, it houses the energy of my ancestors. The walls are woven in with their blood, sweat, tears, and laughter.
Yes.
So it was natural that in this moment, I was in this time and space of the Delmonico building. And now if we journey back just a couple of years prior, I threw a birthday party for Whoopi Goldberg. You see, there's a Whoopi Goldberg theme here. And I give a lot of gratitude to Whoopi because of her, a lot of this came to pass. And when we're sitting at the restaurant, we're having lunch, and she stops in our indulgence and says,
Yeah.
I can see those double doors. Those double doors are opening.
Oh.
And your grandfather is walking in. And he's saying, ciao. So we took a photograph of the four of us. I was with DJ Lena, who I love, DJ Lena, with Whoopi Goldberg and Tom. And the four of us were in this photograph. And above each of us was a ray of light.
Oh.
And I'm going to send you that picture.
It's right
And
there.
I'm going to send you that picture.
Look,
And so-
Kevin Wealth says Max is fabulous. I know, right, Kevin?
Thank
Max
you.
is
How you
married,
doing,
but like
Kevin?
you said, marriage doesn't mean ownership. Him
You
and
know.
Keith, yeah.
Look,
Much love to Keith.
Val's
too.
is putting it all out on the table. Not even an allure that possibly I could be single.
Look, I'm looking out for Keith's interest
That's
too.
right. She's the lady on the stoop telling all the scoop tonight. She said,
He
"You see
married,
that Max
but
over
yeah,
there?
he's fabulous.
That
He married.
motherfucker." So so in those moments of that was really the those were the moments that I started seeing my work validated. I was probably 10 years into that at that point. And when Whoopi said that, I felt it. You know, it's not just saying it. I felt it. And I felt like we were in that movie Ghost when she was like in that moment of like,
Literally, that's what she did in the movie.
yeah. And so that was like number one. Then I threw this party for her, and Charles who is like the head of Rizzoli, Mr. Charles, walks in the room of the evening that I'm throwing this party in 2019. And, in my head, I have a lot of songs that play in my head when I see people. For you tonight, when I first saw you, it was, I can see clearly now, the rain has gone. I have seen all obstacles in my way. That's the first song I thought of when I saw your radiance.
Wow.
But when I saw Charles walk in, I heard he's a man of distinction, a real big spender. And I just knew there was something about him. And so he's observing me doing my thing where I'm emceeing, hosting, and just loving everyone for coming to this party for Whoopi and for the book. And Charles comes up to me. Now, mind you, I did my work. I had my agent ready. I had my co-author ready. I had everybody ready, lined up. And Charles says to me, this is probably an hour into the festivities. He says, why don't you have a book? And so I took a pause, Val. Our pause is...
I got to ask a question about this. He just walked up to you and said, why don't you have a book?
So it's interesting because I never thought of that. Okay. And that's kind of how it all went down. He saw me in action and he saw that I was being hospitable, right? Yes. But yes, thank you for that pause because in all this work, it was only natural that he said that, And so I see it through another perspective of how it could be a little supernatural in why he said that now.
That's absolutely supernatural.
Yeah. For me, it was natural. Right. Of course he says, why don't you have a book?
You're expecting it, right? You're expecting it.
I paused in that moment when he said that to me. And my mind said two things. Spirit said two things. Spirit said, say nothing or say something. And I felt this ancestral push, Val. And what came out of my mouth was not my words. They were ordained by the ancestors that resided in that building, that reside in me. And the words were, because you haven't published it yet.
That's what you said to him. He must have said, this guy has he has a pair. Okay.
Well, I took it one step further. And I said, and my agent is here and we would love to take a meeting with you. And so I did my work. I had everything lined up.
Who he was? So
of course.
You knew he was the big,
big
of the whole publishing company.
Yeah. And so keep in mind, Rizzoli in the past said no to me. And so it never got to his desk. And so we made an appointment. I showed up to the appointment. And I'm paraphrasing now his words, but I gave him my manuscript. And he said, paraphrasing, I understand why all these publishers said no to you. Because you're telling somebody else's story. You're telling the story of Delmonico's. You're telling the story of your grandfather, your grandmother, your aunt, your father. But it's not coming really through your lens. Oh. You're sharing their stories, but not through your observation. Yeah. Everything that you learned that you call the Delmonico Way, I want to know in this book. Wow. What does it mean, the Delmonico Way? So if I open the page and I read to you a passage, when we were doing the foreword, we had a lot of great celebrities who were going to do the foreword. And my editor said to me, they were before. Delmonico's was before this person. Your grandfather was before that person. And if we have a foreword on your book, it's always going to be the Delmonico Way by Max Tucci, foreword by someone else. Yeah. You're not going to have your own light. Don't dim your light. Oh. So the foreword comes from my grandfather. Oh. We found a quote of his from 1953. And it says, at Oscar's Delmonico, I serve hundreds of lunches daily and grand galas and dinners. It is my aim to please my loyal clientele and give them the highest quality food prepared in an appetizing manner in an elegant atmosphere. All are welcome at my table.
All are welcome at my table. And you carry your grandfather's legacy very well and very high because you say that often. All are welcome at my table.
Because these are things that were ingrained in me. This is what Charles was saying. Tell your story. So if my
He wanted
story,
more of
he
you.
wanted more. He wanted
You.
me. He wanted me
Yes.
to tell the story.
You're the storyteller here.
Here are my
Oh my goodness.
ancestors.
Wow.
That's my father, my grandfather, my aunt.
How old is that picture? When was that picture taken?
This was probably like 1960s.
Oh wow, that's
Right.
amazing.
And so here's my father when he was younger.
Oh my goodness. Look
And
at
so,
that.
you know, it was always ingrained in me. All are welcome at my table.
Mhm.
You know, it was always ingrained in me. My grandfather had a love for his clientele, where he was known for saying in the words, I see you, I hear you, you matter.
Mhm.
You know, and once you have your clientele in a position where they feel validated,
Mhm.
they will come back.
They
And
will
that's
come.
what you do. That's how you operate. That's how I operate. When you're every morning on Clubhouse, you validate everybody that's there. You welcome them to your table. So naturally, you and I would line up because that's how we are as hosts, right?
What we do.
And so my my father had a great quote of Delmonico's, which is where perfection of cuisine and service was the only criterion. Imagine perfection of cuisine and service. There was no room for error. And these were things that were passed down to me. So that's what Charles wanted. And girl, when I tell you I went to work so quick that we turned that manuscript in. This was 2019, of the end of 2019. By 2020, the beginning, we had a contract with Rizzoli, and then we had everything turned in. That took a little bit longer. But here we are, 2022, and the book is done. So you know from writing a book that this happened. This was, if I was in the passenger seat of an ancestral, energetic car, and that yes came in, the pedal that was pushed to the metal was by divine ancestral force and source. And that's how in 2 years we can have this.
Oh my goodness. So what's in it? Tell us what is actually
what
in
is
the book.
In the book. You got to buy the book to find out what's in it.
I know.
No. So
We'll
the book title
book
is called The Delmonico Way, Sublime, Entertaining, and Legendary Recipes from the Restaurant That Made New York by Max Tucci.
New York.
Okay.
Max Tucci.
We have recipes. We have some of the original cocktails. The one cocktail, which is the Delmonico cocktail, which the restaurant was famous for, right? Ooh. Can you imagine if we did 1,000 lunches a day, how many of these drinks were served?
Oh
right?
My goodness.
So I like to say my first Bentley was bought by the Delmonico classic cocktail. That cocktail worked, so I didn't have to. Back when I was younger. Right? I mean, check out this Bloody Mary.
Cocktails bought your first Bentley. Oh my goodness, that is huge.
Look at this. That's what she said.
That is huge. What is that?
It is a Bloody Mary with a lobster claw.
Bloody Mary.
Bloody Mary, lobster claw,
with
bacon,
a lobster claw,
shrimp, caviar, and celery.
Stop it.
Just, it's not over the top that much.
Come on, Max. You got a lobster tail.
The secret too for ice, I like to take I have favorite bottled water, right? But they don't pay me to say their name, so I'm not gonna mention it here. But I also take that water and I freeze that water for ice.
Okay. Oh.
And now in cocktails, if we take it one step forward, because a watered down cocktail is pretty pathetic.
Yeah.
So I like to use those new stainless steel ice cubes, right? Because they don't melt. So your drink doesn't get watered down. Yeah, so these are the Delmonico Way.
Ones.
Yeah.
Stainless steel. Oh, that's
yeah.
Do you ever make the ice cubes out of something that would be in the drink or no?
Yeah.
No.
Yeah.
Juice or something.
You could do the juice and you can put berries in it, and they call me the entertaining enthusiast. So anything that we can do to heighten the experience is what I like to do, to bring it to that Tucci touch, the Delmonico Way, right? But I mean, this is such a fabulous drink here too, which is called the Orange Nikki. And it's for the socialite Nikki Haskell. Who used to dine at Delmonico's.
That's very elegant. That's
very. It is.
I would try something like that.
Oh,
Yeah.
you would love this. It's refreshing. It's fresh. But, you know, we can go back to Cary Grant's favorite drink, right?
Oh,
And I love, I was reviewed by one of the magazines and they said that this drink sounds like a hangover in a glass. You know, it's pretty powerful because it has ruby port, dark rum, applejack brandy, maple syrup,
oh,
bitters, and an apple for garnish and some nutmeg.
oh my goodness.
You know, 'tis the season, Val.
That tis the season to be jolly, honey.
But I mean, look at these pictures.
Oh, that is exquisite.
And here's
This
my
looks very
mirror.
rich.
Yeah.
This looks very rich.
You know,
It's giving me nostalgic vibes.
yes.
It's giving me nostalgia and fresh at the same time.
I love that. Oh, we have to put that as Val Love's quote for the book. You know,
Absolutely.
I've been quoted by the Daily News did a
The
double
Daily
page
News.
spread.
They did a
Double
whole
page spread.
spread on the
Double
book.
page.
Look
And they
at that.
said Max Tucci recreates the era of lush luxuries.
Lush luxuries.
I think that's going to be my tattoo.
Lush luxuries,
I
baby.
mean, here's the lush luxuries. This is
Lush
Ava
luxuries.
Gabor and Red Buttons having dinner
Oh,
at Delmonico's.
oh my goodness. I love that roaring luxury period. I love
Mm.
that period. Yeah. Because you know what's interesting? Even when you see Black people, a lot of people have Black people like in the South, what they're very broken down looking. The Black people that were in the North, and like my grandmother and all of them, they were so super dapper and super suited up and super
Look at the Gilded Age.
and
You know,
super gilded.
HBO, the Gilded Age proves that. You know, it shows how there was such refinement in the North, you know, for every race and gender.
All people.
Yes, it was like unbelievable to witness such beauty and elegance and sophistication.
Yeah.
And so that leads me to the Seafood Tower.
What? Alaskan king crab legs. What's on the bottom? This is 2 plates.
This is 2 tiers. It's a tier, right? 2 tiers.
A
So
tier,
we
and
have
then another on top.
we have lobster, we have baby octopus, shrimp, mussels, clams, crawfish, lobster tail, caviar, you name it, we got it.
How
And
many
so-
people would be? Sharifa said, "I need that book."
It's available right now wherever books are sold. And if their local bookstore doesn't have it, I love local bookstores. Go in and tell them, please order the Delmonico Way.
The Delmonico Way.
So
I'm going to put the link right now in the
I
chat
love
as
that.
we're talking, because it's also going to be under the video and it's also going to be in the pinned comment. Where do you want them to buy it? On Amazon or Barnes & Noble? Where's your
Here's
favorite?
what I know for sure. Rizzoli USA has it. Amazon has it. Barnes & Noble has it. I like free shipping. You know, Target has it. Walmart has it. You know, so if people like Amazon, put on Amazon. But, you know, go where you like to shop. This is just a suggestion of where it is and to get more information.
Okay, so while you say that,
Amazon.
I'm going to bring it up on the screen and show it to everyone. Show
I
your
love you for that.
creation to everyone, because this is such a huge, it's such a huge accomplishment, Max. Just congratulations.
Thank you.
Such a huge accomplishment. And look at the white glove hand with the tray.
Look at the price, $42.42.
Yes, indeed. I love the price.
It went
And
down from
look,
45.
Hello, I love the price. And you know what I love most? Seeing this name right here.
Author.
Max Tucci. I love that. Look at
Thank
Max
you.
Tucci. Yes.
I appreciate you.
You deserve.
You know what? Where are we? Go down to the little banners there, and you see there's that arrow. Nope, I'll go up a little bit. Right here. Yep. Where it's go down. Where after keep going down. One more. Keep going down. Keep going down. One more. This
Three
line.
more?
Yep. One more. Nope.
Oh, one
Keep,
more.
that's okay. Keep going down. And right here, there's the icons. Scroll over where it shows that arrow.
Oh, right here.
Yep. And now see where it says all.
See all details.
Yep. Let's see where we are. Where are we right now in numbers? All right. We're at number 27.
27. You're in this bestseller list here.
Okay.
On number 27. Let's hide this. You are number 27 on this list right here.
I love this. There you go.
There you go.
Okay.
How
We're working our way up, right?
absolutely. How lovely is that? I love it.
I
These
love
are
it
New
too.
York, Mid-Atlantic US books.
How great is
I
that?
love that. Look at that. The
Wonderful.
Delmonico Way. I love it. I love it.
Thank
Okay,
you.
so continue. Now,
No,
how many
yeah.
people would eat this tower? How many people does that
Well,
serve?
it says for
Six?
4 to 6, but in reality, I'd like to say two. It's like that's a real
Two people
dinner.
could get through that whole tower.
It's a dinner. There's two. Yeah, it's dinner. I'm not saying you're going to have salads and soups and bread and everything. That's your dinner,
Oh,
right?
that's your dinner. Okay.
Yeah.
Oh,
So I'm going to read the description of this seafood tower because it goes back to my mother and my father's relationship and also to glamour. So it says nothing epitomizes the glamour and over-the-top opulence of Oscar's Delmonico like the signature seafood tower, a dish that dates back to the 1800s. During my father's courtship with my mother, he instinctively knew that in order to kiss the girl, he had to give her the jewels of the sea. Lobsters, oysters, and caviar are just a few of my mother's favorite things. And when they were presented on a tiered tower, my mother knew that Mario was going to be the captain of her ship. If you do
oh,
not have a metal tier tower, you can arrange everything on a large platter. So when I was writing these headers for the book, I wanted my family's story to be a part of it. This was a family affair. And
yeah.
so there's some wonderful, it's more than just a cookbook.
Yeah.
It tells the story of Italian immigrants who came to America in the early
Mm.
1900s, who were daydreamers, who
Mm.
no wasn't a word that was in their vocabulary, who saw things before they were even created, and who took the past and made it relevant again. So their spirits were just so filled with curiosity. And for this sogno americano, this American dream,
Mm.
Val, you spent time at our home in Italy, so I know you
Oh
felt
my
that
goodness.
energy there.
I could have stayed
But
I could have stayed a month
I'm sure
easily.
you could have, and you would have been my guest. But
Easily.
there's so much that we can talk about food. There's so many stories we can share in the book. There's so much to this book that the best way to experience it really is to buy it. And I don't say that because hashtag buy my book, but
Right,
because
right.
this will
So that they
inspire
can
you.
have these
Yeah,
experiences. Yeah.
it
Yeah.
will inspire you to create magic in your home.
Oh.
So acknowledgments are a huge thing for me. And I'll read just a little bit about the acknowledgments. But before I get to that portion of the book, I want you to notice here in the book under my thank yous, there's a very special name in the book.
Oh, Max, that is beautiful. Valerie Love. Oh, Max.
Because I remember many years ago when I called you and I was like, Val, this shit ain't working. What the fuck? And you just kept me going. You kept me going.
Oh,
So it was only natural for me to acknowledge you because you acknowledged me and I love you so much
oh
for
my
there's a small group of people in my life that when they offer advice, I really hold it dear to my heart. And you are one of those
Oh my
beautiful,
goodness.
beautiful souls. You, Gordana, Ash,
Gordana, you're fine.
you know,
Oh my goodness.
yeah, I love you. I do.
Wow.
And so, thank you. And, you'll always be a part of this book as
Oh
well.
my goodness. Well, we're family, so
As
that's
well.
how we
We are.
roll.
We
We
are.
are family. That is how we roll. So I have a question for you.
Sure.
Because you experienced something that a lot of people, it would have really taken them out. So your father passed on your birthday when you were young.
Mhm.
So how was that? Because a lot of people have, someone watching may have people that have passed, people who were dear to them that crossed over. My mother's crossed over, my father's crossed over. So how was that for you as a boy?
So I was 8 years old, and it wasn't until in my teenage years that I was angry. When you're 8, it was like, oh, my father's gone away for work, he'll come back. We have the house in Italy, he was constantly going away. So I felt like Yes, there was this weird moment of a funeral. And Val, that's the one thing I remember about that funeral is how big it was. There were so many people. There were police, there were Secret Service, there were dignitaries, celebrities, royalty. I mean, everybody showed up for my
Was
father's
it in
funeral.
New York or was it in
Yeah, it
Italy?
was in New York. No, it was in New York. And my father's actually, our mausoleum is near Babe Ruth. So, there were a lot of flower cars, lots of flower cars and police motorcycles. And I was a kid, so I thought this was
motorcade
cool. Motorcade. We crossed the state line from Connecticut to New York.
Wow.
It was unbelievable. So it was, his absence really wasn't known until a little bit older, like 10. Okay. And so I did a book recently with Sister Dr. Jenna on meditation. And it was in meditation many years after my father's death that I realized my anger really wasn't about my father dying, but more about the roles that were given to me that were not mine to take. Father, brother, uncle, godfather, old man of the house, all of these roles where I'm just like, I want to be a kid. And so meditation years later led me to understand that my father's death was my greatest gift. Not that I wished him dead, but his death gave me my life. His death gave me my life. And it was as if he knew that on the day of my birthday, he had to give me this present where he was releasing me from the chain and bowl of the restaurant and allowing me to be Max Tucci, who I am, and allowing me to have this book and allowing me to have my shows and allowing me to have my success that I've had over the years, because those were my gifts. And if he had lived, who knows if I would be where I am today. But I know this for sure. We have to go back to the Gita where it says, for the soul, there is neither birth nor death. It is eternal and everlasting. And so if the soul is eternal and everlasting, and so is love, the love that we shared, the energy that we have is always present. It's omnipresent.
Yes. Yes.
So when you're struggling of the physical not being with you, close your eyes and say, for the soul, there is neither birth nor death. It is everlasting. And it is. I mean, there's a chime of verification right there.
I know. It's like chimes. Okay. There's your dad.
There's the soundtrack to the verse. But Val, when we also go a little bit deeper into, for the soul, there's neither birth nor death. We also go into the wonderful African proverb that says, every time you say my name, my spirit shall live.
Yes. We speak the ancestors' names. We speak them.
And we speak them to acknowledge them, not to remember them. Because they're omnipresent.
They're right here.
I have this necklace on. And it's this one here. There's a couple things on it. But one in particular that I'm going to share is a little book. And this little gold book opens up. And there's 4 pages. My grandfather, my grandmother, my father, and my aunt are on these pages, right?
Beautiful.
The other day I was driving to a book signing at Hayfields in North Salem in Connecticut. I spoke to you about this the other morning on Clubhouse. And it was in that moment that I realized all this work that I'm doing is legitimized. It's real. It's validated. I'm going to a book signing. And I acknowledged my spirit for the first time in a very long time. Not Max Tucci, not my body, not this thing that I'm running around in doing, but the spirit that resides within this. And I said, Spirit, thank you for saying yes to being called Max Tucci in this lifetime. Spirit, thank you for saying yes to having Mario Tucci as Max Tucci's father. Spirit, thank you for saying yes to having Gina Tucci as Max Tucci's mother. Spirit, thank you for saying yes to having every ancestor's name that I love, that I know, be my ancestors. Be that energy that propels me to where I need to be, that is the light onto my path, that lets me have every step go ordered by the divine.
Yes.
And it was in that moment I had that ugly cry, Val.
That's when you have the ugly cry because you're just so overwhelmed with gratitude and thanks, and it is it's a wash of love.
It is, and it's deeper than gratitude because what it is to me, it is love. I felt the love of every fiber in my being hugged by every like the energy of all that is. And so it was the love that filled that space. And I pulled up to that Hayfields and I was like, ooh, child. I looked in that mirror. I said, okay, I'll be right back.
Hold on a second. I'll be right with you. I'll be right there.
But yes, it was gratitude and it was love and it was everything.
Love. Do you have those overwhelming moments sometimes where you just burst?
Sometimes.
Let's
have one right now. Look, the Italian hand gestures.
And what our ancestors did, that we get to live the lives that we live.
And even what they didn't do, they showed up.
Yeah.
They showed up. That's all they had to do. They didn't have to do anything else but say yes to being born.
Yeah.
Right? Even look, I mean, you know, when we go through this ancestral remembrance, validation, joy of loving our ancestors and not holding them hostage to the past of who they were.
Yeah.
And acknowledging that most did the best they knew how to do. Right? Like, whatever, let that shit go. You know what I'm saying? We talk about this all the time. You know, they did exactly what they were supposed to do because I know this for sure that where we are right now is exactly where we're supposed to be, that no experience was ever wasted. And that in this moment, you have the option to stand firm in who you are, to claim your spirit as it inhabits your body and say, thank you. I will be the best that I can be because I was born into and for greatness.
Yes. Now, let me ask you a question. How did you start on your path of doing the show and being this incredible communicator and all that? Like, it seems like, wow, restaurant, you would have been expected to take over the restaurant, yet you were freed from that. How did you make your way to the communicator and speaking with people? And you speak with some of the greatest minds on the planet. How did that happen?
Including you. On February 14th, 1979 at 10:41 a.m., I said yes to life.
10:41. How do you remember the time?
I remember certain things because it's on my birth certificate.
Okay. I was like, what?
On February 14th, 1979 at 10:41 a.m.,
okay,
I said yes.
You said
I showed up. So when I say I showed up to this earth.
Yeah.
Everything that was already lined up for me was already happening. I just had to grow into it. Right? I had to do my work. I had to be ready. So when the question is asked, how did you get into it? It was already in me.
Okay.
So what I want to do is die empty.
Yeah.
Every gift that I was born with on that day, February 14th, 1979, 10:41, all that is already knew I was going to be the communicator that I am.
Yes.
All that is already knew the book was going to happen. All that is already said you're going to win these other awards and you're going to be a director and a producer and a radio host and a TV host. You're going to meet Tyra Banks. You're going to be on America's Next Top Model. Then that's going to
meet everybody, Max. You meet everybody and you know everybody.
So I really go back to the day that we can even take it one step further back. Is when that sperm hit that egg and the two collided and said, Max Tucci will be born.
Wow.
And then we could take that even step further. When my mother was born, when my grandmother and my grandfather's egg and sperm met, when my great-grandmother's and my great-grandfather's egg and sperm met, and then keep going down that line of ancestors that prepared this golden, I love to call it the golden brick road for me.
Yeah.
They already knew who I was going to be. because they said yes, just like yours said yes. And everybody who's watching, it's not an accident that you're here.
Mm-hmm.
You know, there's that funny joke, like that text that I saw, it said, "Hey, Mom, I texted you by accident." And she writes back, "That's okay. I had you by accident." Right? There's no such thing as, look, here's what I know.
No
The
such thing.
divine, the source, God, Allah, Buddha, Krishna, whomever you want to call Jesus Christ, doesn't make accidents,
Mm-hmm.
doesn't play. Lets you experience this playground that we call Earth because you have a purpose. And so for me, that purpose really initiated in New York Hospital that day. And so, but how did I get into it? You know, it's my father, my mother, they were in the industry of fashion and food and hospitality. My mother was the executive vice president for Maximilian Furs. She was also opened the Roberto Di Camerino store with Onassis at the Olympic Towers. She opened Jaeger on Madison Avenue. She was in fashion. My father, you know, was once the playboy of the town. He drove fancy cars. He was, you know, like the Prince of New York. And so their energy and who they were and who they are was really, I think, the foundation to lead me to everyone that I met. You know, to have the name Delmonico's as the restaurant and having my father and my grandfather operate this institution from the 1920s to the 1980s set a foundation for me where, you know, there's this, I love to say there's a social ladder. And so many people try to climb, you know, they call it social climbers, right? So I like to say that the Tucci family kind of, you know, created that social ladder in the restaurant industry. When you were there, you had Jackie Onassis had her debutante there. Gypsy Rose Lee would dine there. Ava Gabor, Elizabeth Taylor, Rock Hudson. We can go back to when the Delmonico brothers had it. We had Abraham Lincoln. They had Abraham Lincoln dine there. Wow. So the question asked is, why am I a Tucci and not a Delmonico? And that's in the book. But it's interesting how the Delmonico family and the Tucci family came together. So I'm sharing not only the story of the ancestors of the Tuccis, but I'm also sharing the story of the ancestors of the Delmonicos. So it's like, I feel like I'm making two families super proud to be remembered and acknowledged. So I met Tyra Banks. We'll go back to, I came back from Italy. My niece was born. I wasn't talking to my mother and my sister for a short period of time. I moved to the house in Italy. I come back. I'm like looking the best I've ever looked because Italy can do that to you, as you know. And I go to a party and there's a guy named Derek Kahn and he's there. It was at Sylvia's in Harlem.
Oh, Sylvia's. Y'all were eating some soul food.
You know. And it was a charity event and Derek comes over to me. He's this bald guy from Trinidad. He's like, "Who are you?" And I said, "I'm Max Tucci." And he goes, "Well, what are you doing tomorrow?" I said, "I just got back from Italy. I don't really have any plans."
I just walked in the door.
Yeah. He goes, "Well, I want you to be on America's Next Top Model. I'm working with Tyra and we're going to call you a lifestyle expert because I can see that you are a lifestyle expert."
Oh, yeah.
Now, this is like kind of pre-Google. So he's like, "I have this townhouse and I've dressed everyone from this one to that one, Aretha Franklin, Hillary Clinton, the little Kim." And I was like, "Okay, my driver's outside, so we can drop you off." That was my Google, right? I was like, "We're going to see if this townhouse is legit. And we're going to come up for a champagne too." So we go up to this townhouse that exists and all these pictures of this, you know, everyone that he says is there. And then he goes on to tell the story, you know, Bling Bling was kind of his creation. And he's the one that put Little Kim in Chanel, and he introduced couture to yes.
Yeah, and didn't he have a store in Harlem?
No, that was someone else. That was a designer as well. So, but Derek was the one who put the rap world and couture together.
Gotcha.
And so Derek and I, like the next day I show up, Tyra's there, it was the first season. One thing leads to the next. I do that show. Then I become on the list of Gotham Magazine's most eligible bachelors, which really means you gay. Right? It's like, who in New York is an eligible bachelor?
What did they say about being gay, that they wanted to feature you as a gay eligible bachelor?
Well, they featured me as one of New York's most eligible bachelors.
Okay.
Not gay nor straight, but my publicist at the time didn't want me to do the gay angle. She just said, say that you're looking for a girl, whatever. But the reality is in New York, if you're successful in a bachelor, you're usually gay or a playboy. Right? Because how someone hasn't scooped you up in a second, I don't know.
If you're successful in New York and you don't have a woman on your arm, you're likely gay. Is that what it is?
No, I mean, let's just generalize, right? Because that's what we do. But no, cancel, delete. So, and then that led into, I was supposed to do a cookbook called Romancing the Stove, a bachelor's cookbook.
Yeah. Okay.
And we had like, oh, honey, chicken, undo my tie. Like I came up with the most incredible thing. And then I was doing more television.
Write that book.
I will, And then I did television. I was doing cooking segments, and one thing led to the next. Then I had a stalker. Now, I've been kidnapped twice before.
I haven't heard about this stalker, Max. All these years I've known you, I haven't heard that you had a stalker.
Well, we were kidnapped too, right?
Oh my goodness, no, Max. Who kidnapped you?
Well, the first time. No, really. The first time.
Wait a minute, you lived through 2 kidnappings?
The joke is, if this is the family that I was kidnapped into, then it worked out pretty well. 2. And the first one was a little more serious. It was my mother and my sister and I. And there was violence involved.
All 3 of you?
Yeah. We were, my father, old school, wouldn't let the family all fly together on one plane. In case it crashed, there were no heirs. Okay. This is like old school mentality, right? Yeah. So and my father had a fear of flying. So he would always take the QE2, right? To England. When we took the QE2, we went as a family, right? Because it wasn't a plane. Patterns, pathologies, whatever it is about planes crashing, shit ain't real, right? Right. Not on my watch. So, so we get to, we're going to Italy, and to condense the story into the Reader's Digest version, we, there was a caravan. My mother had our car with her secretary, and my father had his car with his security detail, and we were going to drive to Italy.
And where were you and your sister?
We were in the car with my mother.
With your mother?
We were with my mother, yeah.
Wow.
With my mother.
The 3 of y'all in one car.
Right. And so my father's car breaks down. My mother's driver keeps going. So immediately my mother knew something was wrong. Keep in mind, my mother grew up in Lithuania. My mother was born in Lithuania. She escaped with her family during World War II. She lived in displaced person camp for 5 years in Hanau, Germany. So as a child, she saw death. People were hanging themselves around her. It was a horrific childhood.
You would never look at Mama Gina and think that.
The Gestapo shot her dog in front of her. Okay. So
Mama
this
G,
is,
wow,
she's fearless.
She has quite the story. You would never think that looking at her.
She's fearless. I'll show you a picture of her in the book. She's fearless.
She's a boss.
Mama G is legit, right?
She is a boss.
Here's Mama G.
You would never think that. Bam, look at her.
And my father. That's what they meant. Okay.
Man.
So the car breaks down. My mother's car keeps going.
Dad, huh?
Yeah. And we end up in this warehouse. And my mother will tell you the story too. And then one thing led to another. My father showed up. There was some violence that occurred. And here we are.
Your father handled it.
They handled it,
I don't want to ask any questions.
And I want to give the answer, because then when I do my book, it's all going to be on this, live StreamYard. So I'm trying to cherry pick some of the hot topics without giving it all up.
You have us intrigued for sure.
And the second time was a little bit different. There was actually, it became a thing in New York City for families, well-to-do families, to have their nannies set up kidnappings.
Oh my goodness.
Actually, Calvin Klein's daughter was part of that whole, this thing. So I was part of this thing. And, you'll have to read another book that I write to, obviously everything turned out well. Here I am. But,
Yeah.
So it was an interesting, as Clive would say, we're now digressing because I don't remember the question.
It's all good. It's all good because we wanted to know just kind of how you got into your gifts, and then we were
Yeah.
also talking about, the fact that you said yes to life
Mm,
on that date. And
mhm,
after saying yes to life,
mm,
then that brought you to this. And
mm,
then we were talking about you went to the party
mhm.
and they told you
Yeah.
to come to, yeah,
And so I did television.
house, and
Oh, and
then
then my stalker,
thanks,
my
and then
stalker.
and then just yes. So we're
So,
up to the stalker now. Yeah.
so I do this show and now I'm on,
After American Idol, and after you
no,
were doing
America's Next
cooking
Top Model.
segments,
America's Next
I
Top
mean
Model.
America's
Yeah.
Next Top Model, and
Yeah.
with Tyra, and then you were doing some cooking segments, and then
And
you
then I
had,
did another show called Young, Sexy, and they
oh
followed
my
me
goodness,
around. I was like the youngest Bentley
because you're
owner.
the eligible bachelor, so they
And I'm riding around in a Bentley convertible with my sister, and the camera doesn't know that it's my sister. So, they're putting, perhaps that's right,
stories.
whatever, the shit they make up. But,
Yeah.
so I get a stalker, and it was really, I don't have fear. It's just not who I am.
Hmm.
What the stalker taught me was that sometimes we have to keep our private life private.
Yeah.
And so I was young, and I was being influenced by managers and agents who wanted me to put everything on the table and expose all of who I was and what my family was. No experience is ever wasted, naturally.
Yeah.
So I had a stalker, and they would call the house. They would breathe. I hired a private investigator. The private investigator said, well, here's the good news. I said, what's the good news? They said, well, you're safe at home.
How is that?
How is that good news? Like, that means I
Right.
can't go out. And they
I
go,
don't get I don't
but
get it.
here's the bad news. I said, what's the bad news? They said, well, we don't know if they want to fuck you or kill you.
Oh my goodness.
And my response was, well, in what order? Because if they want to kill me, then fuck me. That's a whole different energy.
That's
And
too weird for me.
I
Yeah,
had
that's
to
too weird.
make a joke out of it
Yeah,
because it was something so heavy, legit, that my spirit was like, oh no, this shit ain't you.
wow.
And me, I'm like the little boy, my little child always plays, right?
Always playing. Yeah.
And so that's going to be part of my memoir as well. But long story short, I didn't go out for almost a year, Val.
Outside the house.
Yeah. And not outside the house. I mean, luckily I lived in Connecticut. I would ride my horse, but I wouldn't go to events anymore.
Oh.
Right. Because we didn't know. It was like,
What was going to happen?
if I show up at an event, is there a possibility that I could be attacked? Okay.
Wow.
So when finally I was like, but it was beautiful because I was also burning my candle at both ends.
Okay.
So it really gave me a moment to be still.
Yeah, you got meditation.
It was that year where I was like, I didn't go out, and I was like riding my horse every day and like in nature and just like loving life and not scared of a stalker, right?
Yeah.
And I mean, in hindsight, in retrospect, now I could, but it was an interesting period of time because I remember going out for the first time to a club. Actually, it was like White Clef's birthday. We were going out. My sister was coming with me, and she was wearing like this Harry Winston necklace, and we were done up. So I said, let's just bring security, not really for us, but for the necklace.
Because in New York, they'll just straight yank you. Yeah.
So I have like 3 security guys with me, and they have their own car. I have my driver, who was an ex-cop, New York cop. We go from Clef's party. My friend Wesley, they opened up a club called Kane, and so we're going from one club to the other. And the next thing you know, we pull up in front of the club, and my car is surrounded by undercover police cars. They were New York taxis with lights blaring, police everywhere. And the first thing I thought was they caught the stalker.
Oh.
And I was like, this is like amazing. Like, this is amazing.
Yeah.
But in fact, what had happened after we had found out from my security and the police and everything was that the police were following us from Clef's party downtown, thinking that my security personnel who was following my car were trying to carjack me. No, we're trying to carjack me.
Oh my goodness.
So my sister's like wearing this chinchilla coat, this Harry Winston necklace. You couldn't write this, right? And we were like going into the club, and now the club is like, what is going on?
Yeah.
Everything got cleared. And then it was just like, one of those New York moments. But I get a phone call not too long after that incident, because it was in Page 6 or one of the pages that they wrote about this. And I get a call from a girl who doesn't really identify herself, but says, I know who's been causing problems for you, not who your stalker is. And I said, what? And she goes, yeah, he goes down to like the public library and like writes things there, so from the computer, so that it can't get traced to his house. I was like, what? She goes, but then like he kind of slipped, and like I was at the studio one night when he was like doing this. I was like, what? And so fast forward, it's now Fashion Week, and I'm with a dear friend of mine, Farah and Sana, and we're watching like VH1 or MTV. We actually went to San Ambrose and bought croissants and all the pastries. And she had just done her show, and we're like, like eating all these croissants, whatever, and pastries. And it was breaking news that this person got arrested. Not for me.
Oh, you mean they were talking more than one person?
Without giving energy to what was happening, it was a lot of unfortunate situations that happened for a lot of people. Okay. And this person gets arrested and is like in jail. And so then kind of everything, there's that saying, truth that's crushed to the ground shall rise again. Right. And that's what I know in my core of my soul, that as long as I keep doing everything that is for the greatness of God and for the glory of the divine, and for me doing my purpose, that nothing and no one can stop me, no matter what the circumstances might look like, no matter what the pause may be, no matter what the energy looks like, no matter the destruction that might come at day. My life is redeemed from destruction, and no weapon formed against me shall prosper.
Yes.
Right? So when that mantra, when that psalm becomes my mantra, and when I wake up every morning and I say, my life is redeemed from destruction, no weapon formed against me shall prosper. It's a reinforcement to the energy that's out there that's going to try to get me, but it can't.
Yeah.
It can't, because it's all an illusion. It's all made up. So if we need words to pacify ourselves for the moments when we're feeling fear, that's what Psalms are for. That's where we can say, my life is redeemed from destruction. No weapon formed against me shall prosper. Not for the spirit, but for the ego to say you're okay when the spirit already knows you're okay. We've been talking about this for almost 365 days, Val, on Clubhouse. The illusion, and how our buddy Ash Rue is the illusion slicer.
The illusion slicer.
We need to slice these illusions that we're being attacked. We're not. We are living in the fullness of all that is. In every moment.
Every moment.
In every moment. In every moment. But you know what but means? Forget what I just said and now listen to what I'm going to say. For you and I, we get it. For those that might be going through a struggle, we're here to tell you that the struggle is not real. We need to erase that phrase, the struggle is real, to remember that the struggle is not real. That in these moments where we need to grab something that someone has written to kind of say to us, everything is okay, we need to go to our source, to our spirit, and say, I am what I am because I come from the great I am. I am all that is. And so you teach that beautifully every morning. The illusions that we slice every morning on Clubhouse and YouTube and Facebook. It's a gift.
We do that together in a collective energy.
We do. And it's a gift. You give us this gift, and you say that next year it's going to be in person only.
Yes, in person. I love teaching in person.
We're the people.
Yes,
We're the people.
We like hugging people and looking in eyes. We love that.
Right. So I look forward to 2023 of being more in contact with you.
Yes.
I look forward to, we have, there's like, I don't know the number right now in the course, but there's just a
Today
few
was
days left.
313. Yeah, today was 313. So we only have what,
Right.
52,
The illusion of numbers.
42? Right,
Whatever
right.
it is.
Whatever it is.
Whatever it is.
It is. What it is. Yeah.
But and I say this, and I try to say it as often as I can without being repetitive on Clubhouse, but I just honor you for saying yes. Because what I know, the course is wonderful. The illusion slicing is great. But those that are showing up are getting the gift of your presence, the gift of your wisdom, the gift of your knowledge, the gift of telling everybody that everything that's made up, that all this shit that we're going through, that the struggle isn't real, that we're creating it ourselves, and that we need to like really slice the disillusion and trust that what we call the illusion is source, and source is greater than all the shit we make up. Right. And so I thank you for that. I always standing ovations to you because look, I know you very well. I've interviewed you numerous times.
For years. Yeah. I've been on your show many times. I'm so
and
happy.
So I know those moments where you took those pills where you were like, I'm out.
I am out.
And your spirit rose up greater than your body could ever and said, no, you're not.
No, you're not.
And it wasn't one time.
Yeah. Yes. There is more that I require of you. Will your heart and soul say yes? If I told you what I really need, would you still say yes? That song by Shekinah Glory? Just yes. It's a one-word song. That song has had me weeping and rolling on the floor like nobody's business. That's what the universe is asking. If I told you what I really need from you, would you still say yes? Every minute, every time, I would still say yes.
You've said yes. You needed to say it once.
Yeah.
And here you are. But I know, if we revisit that moment when you were on that bathroom floor with those, that container of pills.
If I had taken them, I looked at the bottle and I drew my hand back. And the only thing that caused me not to just take myself completely out was my kids. Because one was 3 and one was a baby. And I was nursing the baby. And they told me I had postpartum depression. They couldn't figure out what was wrong with me. I was in a box. I was trying to get out. I needed to break free. Max, you're not going to do this. You're not going to get me to start talking about me. Look at you. You already flipped it on me. No, we talking about Do Tonight and your book.
We are. But you know what?
You flipped it so effortlessly that I didn't even realize that
in the flip, because this is how effortlessly it was, because there's somebody's watching that needs to hear this. It's not about us right now.
Yeah.
We're here. Yes, we have accomplishments. Yes, we've done great things. Yes, we've written books. Yes, we've done all of this. But at the end of the day, we're at service. We're here to serve.
Yeah.
And so it flipped that way because Spirit said this needs to be told, because someone who's watching or listening right now is going through the very thing that you went through or that I went through. And here we are saying we sliced that illusion.
We sliced it.
So
and we sliced past the illusion of death. We went past that.
And we started with, for the soul, there's neither birth nor death. It's eternal and everlasting.
Oh my goodness, that's what you started with. So Max, how can people get in touch with you? How can they follow you? How can they connect with you? All of that. And we have your links.
Everything. Instagram, Twitter, Facebook at Max Tucci, old school Max at maxtucci.com. The book, The Delmonico Way, is available now. We have book tours happening all over look, the one that was tomorrow in Florida is now postponed to December 16th.
Oh, good.
November 15th, all are welcome to my table. November 15th, if you're in New York City, the Gotham City where dreams are made of, join me at the Rizzoli bookstore, which is 1133 Broadway at 26th Street from 6 to 8 p.m. I have an amazing culinary conversation with the divine Pamela Fury, who was the former editor-in-chief of Town and Country magazine. She's an author of many books, In the Spirit of Palm Beach, In the Spirit of Cannes, In the Spirit of Capri. So we'll be having a wonderful conversation. And then there's books, I'll be in Washington, D.C. this weekend. I'll be at a bookstore in Washington on Saturday. I know the name, but I don't know the name because we've been talking about so many things that right now you find me on the Instagram.
Where you
family
posted it,
Instagram.
and is the schedule
Yeah.
is at the book publisher too, right? Because I know you.
Yes,
Yes.
RizzoliUSA.com.
Uh-huh.
They have all the the tour dates coming up there.
So what's the closing word you want to leave with our peeps tonight? What
Well,
do
I'm
you-
going to read it from the book.
Beautiful. I love that.
And it goes to acknowledgement.
Mm.
And before I just want to say thank you to everyone who took the time to show up tonight. I hope that I take it one step further. I know that we were an inspiration,
Absolutely.
that Val and I have taken this time because we were called to take this time. There's a hurricane brewing and we still have internet and power.
Look at that.
And so thank you for showing up, and thank you for hearing our stories. Thank you for storytelling is a beautiful thing. I hope this inspires you to share your stories. Jackie Collins once told me that if we want to write our book, we got to write a page a day for 1 year and we'll have our book. So acknowledgement is a beautiful thing. We're going into the holiday season. I know there's a lot of people who are pissed with family members. They even go take it as far as, I hate you. That's all cute. That's fine. Go through what you need to go through. Yeah. But just be grateful, because each family member that you may like or dislike has taught you something. And as the lessons are for you to understand, maybe not right now. But acknowledgements are beautiful. And so in the book, I write, to express gratitude is to be fully immersed in the Delmonico way. To my family and friends, Oprah once expressed to me that we're all seeking 3 simple validations. Do you see me? Do you hear me? And do I matter? From me to you, I see you, I hear you, and you matter. I am forever grateful for all of your support over the many years of the making of this book. 15 years ago, I saw this book in my mind, and with your help, it has been created into a reality. Together we rise and celebrate. I go on to thank my ancestors. I go on to thank my family. I go on to thank my friends. And of course, I go on to thank you, Valerie Love. I love you. And I go on to saying, and finally to the reader, welcome to the wonderful world of Delmonicos. Thank you for bringing this book into your home and for your culinary curiosity. May the Delmonico Way inspire you to celebrate life, self-worth, and the present moment. It's up to you to use this book to create memories that bring you joy and make your heart smile.
Oh.
The Delmonico Way.
And that, family, is Max Tucci, the one and only. Thank you so much, Max.
Val, thank you. I thank you. I love you. We're going to do this in person in 2023. We're going to open up the homes. We're going to do Italy. We're going to do New York. We're going to just be in spaces where we can just come together and just thank one another in person.
Absolutely. And actually hug people and actually see people.
I haven't seen you in so long.
How long has it been, Max?
Illusion of time. But I haven't hugged you in so long.
Yes.
One thing I long for is that. That is the truth. So it will happen. And, really, 15 years ago, when all those beautiful no's, I could have given up. I could have taken this book and said, forget it. And the reason why I'm saying this is because whoever's watching, listening, passing through, if you can dream it, you can do it. There's that phrase, if you can see it in your mind, it's already in your reality. To say never give up is just like a cliche because you have no other option.
Yeah.
The other day you said about Prince, he left us Purple Rain. We all needed Purple Rain. Mm-hmm. And what we all need from you listening tonight is your story, is what you want to share, is your gift, is your voice, is your talent. You have it for a reason. So use it and die empty.
Die empty. Beautiful. Love it. Love you, Max.
I love you too.
And family, thank you so much for joining us. And buy the book and gift the book. I'm going to be buying a few copies so I can gift the book to friends and family, especially for the holidays. It's going to be lovely, lovely, lovely. Thanks, guys.
I love you, Val. And before we go, there's a book coming out from you. You've got a couple books coming out. This is where I go from guest to host. Tell us about your book, Val, because I love it.
There you go again, man.
Well, you have to. When there's an opportunity, we have to talk about it. Here's an opportunity. We have people watching. This is you, girl. You got another book.
I got another book coming out. It's called Witch. And Max, some of the stories that are in this book are absolutely amazing. Like Ariel and I were going over the stories the other day, and we were reading through some of the stories. And I tell you, this book is going to be so good. And it comes out on my birthday, October 4th, 2023, in Salem, Massachusetts, at a book launch party. We're launching it in Salem, Massachusetts.
I love this.
Witch.
And my book, The Delmonico Way, came out October 4th in UK 2022. And when I got the call from Ariel and she said, who would you recommend to do a book? I said, Valerie Love Witch.
Oh my goodness. Ariel was like, Max Tucci told me to reach out to you. I'm like, there goes Max again, because Max can connect people. And, it's really so selfless what you do, Max, because you share deeply and richly. And there are not many people that have that capacity to be so big-hearted and to share so much. It's just pouring out. It's exuding. Some people want to keep their contacts tight to the chest, or they want to keep their connections. It just pours out. And
you know what I love about that moment too? I remember it very distinctly, because you don't check your emails on Sunday.
I do not.
And I get a call from you on Sunday, and you're like, I checked my emails. I was like, ooh, Spirit's working. And you're like, and I saved the message, because it was just you're like, and I don't check my emails on a Sunday, but something led me to my inbox.
Oh my goodness. And when I read that email from Ariel, it was like, yes, yes. All she had to do was say Max, and it was like a yes. Because Max is cooking up. Yeah, give it to me. And I have loved working with Ariel so much. I've learned a lot from her. Do you know Ariel and I are born almost 1 week apart?
You see?
Our birthdays. Same year, Max. Same year. Ariel and I we really have some kind of connection.
It's interesting, because Kelly Dunn is a very dear friend of ours who passed from this realm. But Kelly put Patricia, Ariel, and I together many years ago.
Oh.
When she wrote her first book on spirit animals.
Oh.
And she said, my friend Kelly said, who's also her friend, said, would you have her on the show on Max and Friends? I was like, of course. And look how this works. All these years later, she's publishing the book with Dr. Sister Jenna.
Yes.
Dr. Sister Jenna reached out to me and said, I want you to be part of the book Meditation. Before Ariel even knew that I knew Dr. Sister Jenna.
Oh my goodness. Look at
And Ariel calls and says, you had me on Max and Friends. I have a space for your name on the cover.
Oh, yes.
Right?
Yes.
So I want to take this one step further before we go.
Yes.
Where did you grow up? I know the story, but for those watching.
Harlem, USA.
What
Harlem,
street?
New York. 100. We lived on 151st. Well, we lived on 151st Street, St. Nicholas Place, not St. Nicholas Avenue, St. Nicholas Place, which is also called Sugar Hill. Yeah, in Harlem. And then before we moved there, we were on 8th Avenue.
So I was at 1165 Park at 92nd. Right? So I'm sure growing up, you and I passed. You passed me through those streets in Sugar Hill, in Harlem,
we were working and we would walk
Carnegie Hill
all the time.
Yep.
People, New Yorkers, we're all over New York.
All over. So this thread, this connection that we're talking about, we all have it. Everyone showing up in your life, or everyone who's part of your life, is for a purpose. And also when you just give love, you get love back. And that's why, I put you on a pedestal in realness, to honor you, to respect you, but because your gifts that you have, there was no way you could die without writing the book Witch.
I know, right?
There's no way. So it's like, We
It's
help each
so
other.
neat. And do you know something, Max? I sat down the other day just to start writing because the manuscript is due December 31st of this year of 2022. And do you know, I sat down, started writing, started doing some things, pulling some things together. And I said, Ariel, because Ariel said, this is how many words you'll probably write in addition to the stories that we already have. Do you know, I sat down and by the time I finished, it was already at 25,000 words before we even, I haven't even really gotten good
Into
into
it. Yeah.
This is going to be a knockout book.
Mm.
I'm so thankful for what's flowing through me, especially for the witch and everyone who connects with the archetype of the witch to dispel fear and ignorance around that word and to let people be in their true magical power. I just love that. I just love that. And I salute Ariel for putting the book Witch next to meditation and ancestors and angels and spirit guides.
And Muse,
And
Asher Wiz.
and he was here on the channel. He was here on the channel. So we got to have a really good conversation. And which is right there where it rightly ought to be as a powerful spiritual path among all the spiritual paths. So
yeah, it's
such a
beautiful.
blessing.
So on your neck you have the tattoo Om.
Yes.
And those are my initials, Oscar Maximilian. OM. So I leave you with a big, solid, beautiful Om. I love you. Back in the day when I first called you, I said, how you loving?
How you loving?
Now,
by the way, family, Max gave me that. Were we on the beach in Miami when you gave me that?
Yeah, we were.
Yeah, we were on the beach in Miami, and Max said, you can have that one. That's yours. I was like, thank you, because I'm going to use that. Okay.
But, let's take that into this week. Let's take that into the moments. Ask people, how are you loving?
How you loving?
We can sit here and laugh. It's cute. Now. But we really, let's take that into the streets and ask people instead of how are you loving? How you loving? And love on people. Love on everyone. I love you, Val.
You're right, because we could talk all night. I love you. Wow. Thank you, man.
I'll see you tomorrow on Clubhouse.